Yun ngang isang member ng Committee of Justice, may utang niya na 8 million sa asawa ko. Kapal na muka, 'di ba? Kaya nga kami mag-asawa tinitingnan namin siya ng mga mga interview niya. Sinasabi ko talaga sa asawa ko. Sabi ko, ito ang kapal na mukha, may utang na 8 million, may gana pang bumanat.
Justice members are reminded to confine the deliberation to the determination of sufficiency in substance. The justice members are further reminded that the discussions on the same grounds in the third impeachment complaint have been adopted. So kindly confine your manifestation to new matters only. The Honorable Tino.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, upon reading this part of the fourth complaint, I would say that the allegation of bribery and procurement lacks a recital of facts. No, let me read. The only time this complaint mentions bribery is in paragraph 171, and it says here, witness statements and documentary patterns indicate that monetary gifts or payments were distributed to DepEd officials holding procurement-related functions, creating a plausible nexus between payments and favorable procurement outcomes. Okay? That's a good starting point. However, there is no further elaboration or narration of facts as to which officials in particular were bribed, what particular transactions, if any, were involved, the amounts, and so on and so forth. So, medyo, in this case po, ay wala na pong ibang narration of facts eh. Kaya medyo kulang po. Unlike in the third complaint, na nakapangalan po yung mga opisyal ng DepEd na allegedly tumanggap and so on and so forth. So, yun lang po ang obserbasyon ko dito. Medyo kulang yung narration of facts which is required in order to substantiate the ground of graft and corruption. Yun lang po ang obserbasyon ko rito.
The manifestation is noted. Any other manifestation?
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Nasal.
Thank you, Madam
We're
Chair.
still on the third ground.
Yes, ma'am. Article 3 alleges bribery, pero gaya ng nilinaw sa PBBM proceedings, bribery requires the pleading of a complete quid pro quo equation. Ito ay nangangailangan ng malinaw na paglahad ng mga sumusunod. An identified bribe giver, an identified bribe taker, a specific official act influenced. Magkano ang naging usapan?
Point of order, Madam Chair.
At isang malinaw na
There's a point of order. Let's hear the point of order first. Before we proceed, the Honorable Ridon is recognized.
Mula po kanina, yung ating pong kaibigan, si Congressman Nazal, ulit-ulit niyang meron po siyang reference to the BBM impeachment complaint relating to these things, no? Pero umupo po tayong lahat eh. It was just like 2 weeks ago, Madam Chair. Pero I don't remember any reference of these particular types of discussion to the BBM complaint. So maybe I have forgotten it, maybe I have misheard it, but I'm quite certain that the 2 points that our colleague had stated had absolutely no reference to the BBM impeachment complaint, Madam Chair. I think what was clarified, and it was I who clarified it, is the point that mahalaga po yung usapin ng personal knowledge at authentic documents sa mga usapin po sa pag-uusap po natin. And nothing more. So I think we have to direct our good colleague to clarify as to which particular reference to the BBM impeachment complaint has he been referring to in this particular instance and in the previous instance that he had referred to in the BBM impeachment complaint.
The Honorable Nasal, please respond to the point of order.
I will cite the specific rulings done during the previous. What do you
Is
call
it your intention to enlighten the committee about the difference in the procedure
In the,
with regards to, in comparison to the last impeachment hearing against the president?
The intention, ma'am, is to just be consistent with all the rulings that were held during the previous.
You may proceed.
No, just to be clear, Madam Chair, I don't think anyone's stopping our colleague from saying his manifestation. I think what needs to be clarified is that I don't think the BBM impeachment complaint standard has no relevancy to the discussion that he wanted to provide today. In the previous discussion that he stated and the previous discussion that he's stating now. Kasi nga ho, the standard that has been discussed last time was very specific to the matter of authentic documents and personal knowledge. Wala ho tayong pinag-usapan, labas pa ho roon.
With
So,
all due respect, it was pronounced by the chair during the start of our impeachment proceeding against the vice president that we will be adopting the same parameter, the same procedure that we used in the impeachment proceeding against the president.
Yun lang naman po ang hinihingi natin, ma'am.
If you have a clear disparity to point out, yes, you may proceed, Honorable Nasal.
I was just pointing out, referencing to certain actions done during the previous hearing, ma'am.
Kindly point out the disparity that you have observed so far.
Wala naman ako sinasabing disparity, ma'am. I was just pointing.
Well, if there is no disparity between the previous and the current proceeding, perhaps you should just go straight to your manifestation.
Yes, ma'am.
With respect to our third ground, which
I was
is the
not
subject
pointing
matter
out,
of our
ma'am, to
current
any disparity.
deliberation.
I was just saying, I was just referencing
All right.
na dapat pareho lang.
I think the chair has to rule, Madam Chair, because allowing him to proceed without ruling on the point of order would basically impinge on our previous proceedings.
Madam
The
Chair,
point of order is sustained. The Honorable Nasal is enjoined from making reference to the impeachment proceeding against the President. Please go direct to your manifestation in relation to our ground for impeachment, subject matter of our current deliberation.
Okay, ma'am, I'll just continue. Pag binasa natin ng Article 3, it alleges movements of funds and operational handling, ngunit hindi nito malinaw na tinukoy ang isang corrupt agreement, hindi rin nito tinukoy ang kung anong official act ang di umano'y na impluensyahan, at wala rin malinaw na aligasyon ng personal benefit na natanggap ng respondent. Ang kahina-hinalang daloy ng pondo ay hindi otomatikong nangangahulugan ng bribery. Conclusions of law cannot replace ultimate facts. Tulad ng paulit-ulit na ipinatupad sa prior sufficiency determinations, narrative detail alone does not cure the absence of essential elements. Dahil dito, Article 3 likewise fails to meet the required threshold of sufficiency in substance. Thank you, Madam Chair.
thank you, Congressman Nazal. There are no other members who would like to make a manifestation on Article 3. We now move on to Article 4, bribery, procurement irregularities, and corruption. Any member who wishes to make a manifestation on this article?
Mr. Chairman,
Congressman Rufus Rodriguez.
again, Article 4 does not provide for the six grounds for impeachment. Only one, bribery. In the title of Article 4, it says bribery, procurement irregularities, and related corruption. These are not found in the Constitution, only bribery. And then, there's a parenthesis down there which says Department of Education, Transactions, and Monetary Gifts. In other words, again, as a whole, just to, not to belabor the point, but just to state that my continuing objection to the jurisdiction of this committee on acts of former Secretary Sara Duterte in the DepEd. Plus, Mr. Chairman, there is also no clear recital of this bribery, to whom, how much, who gave. In other words, there is completely no recital in these things. And so therefore, I would say that Article 4 we have no jurisdiction and has no recital of facts, and therefore should be dismissed. Thank you.
Your
Mr. Chair.
continuing objection is noted, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. Congressman Santay.
Yes, Mr. Chair, while I maintain the same position that her actions as DepEd Secretary should have no bearing in this impeachment complaint, I would like to further elucidate on Article 4 on the alleged bribery. Now, ang Article 4 ay nagsasabi may bribery sa DepEd procurement activities. Ang pangunahing allegation, respondent distributed monetary gifts and other advantages to certain officials of the DepEd connected with procurement activities. Nagpakita pa nga tayo kahapon ng 3 video pero kahit dun sa video yung ipinakita nung 3 opisyal na nagbigay ng mga statement, hindi rin malinaw kung paano naging bribery ang alleged envelopes o monetary gift. Yung kay Mercado, dun sa pinakitang video, sinabi niya nakakuha siya ng envelope, parte raw siya ng back, pero dun sa narration niya, in fact, meron raw bidding na hindi natuloy. So, para saan yung pera? Hindi rin naman pala natuloy yung bidding. So, si Usayas naman, sinabi niya, hindi siya, may nakuha siya, pero hindi naman daw siya membro ng back. Hindi rin sinaad kung ano yung pinagawa sa kanya. Sa bribery, kailangan ipakita ang quid pro quo. May binigay na pera o benefit, kapalit ng specific official acts. Sa complaint, binasa natin to, hindi pinakita kung anong procurement decision ang allegedly binili. Hindi rin malinaw kung ang mga acts na ginawa ng DepEd officials ay hindi talaga parte ng kanilang regular duties. Kung ang ginawa ng official ay expected functions of their office, mahirap i-frame yon as bribery. Mas lalo pang lalabo kung ang allegation ay dahil sariling statement lang ng mga taong ipinakita. Kung hindi niya binuksan ng envelope, hindi rin malinaw. Kung may pera nga sa loob, kung magkano, kung anong laman, well, that was based on the statement of Mercado. Pero ang kailangan ipakita natin, meron bang ginawang kapalit? At saan nanggaling yung pera? Because there was just an assumption that it came from DepEd funds. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Santay. Any other member? Was a manifestation on as far as Article 4 is concerned.
Thank you.
Congressman Chua.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we have discussed this issue thoroughly yesterday, and I think we should move on to the next ground. And I maintain my position with respect to Article 4. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Chua. Any other member? There being none, then we proceed to Article 5. Unexplained wealth, salary violations, bank records, and financial forensics. Any member who wishes to make a manifestation on this article?
Yes.
Congressman Rufus Rodriguez.
Mr. Chairman, here, there is no statement. There is no proposition that one of the 6 grounds or more of the Constitution has been violated. Unexplained wealth is not in the Constitution. Salary violations is not in the Constitution. Bank records, financial forensics are not in the Constitution. However, let's take this. As probably I will now be able to assume, arguendo, that this may be to be able to support the betrayal of public trust. But Mr. Chairman, the problem with Article 4 is that there are absolutely no recital of facts constituting the offense charge, because we don't even have the offense charge. There is no statement of either culpable violation of the Constitution. Second is treason. Third, Mr. Chairman, is bribery. Fourth is graft and corruption. Fifth is other high crimes. And sixth, betrayal of public trust. Nothing in Article 5 of this fourth impeachment complaint. So clearly, there is no recital of facts. How is there unexplained wealth? There is no statement that the Vice President received so much money and has deposited so much money, has acquired so much properties, that there is unexplained wealth. Because this is also defined under Republic Act 1379, RA 1379, which is the civil forfeiture of illegally acquired wealth. Nothing. Nothing on this. Also, there is no statement of which SALN violations. Because in the third complaint, it was the SALN from 2007 to 2017 as she was vice mayor and mayor. But nothing on SALNs from 2022 when she became vice president, June 30, 2022 up to now. Nothing. There's no statement here. So the second will again fall, the violations. Bank records. What bank records are you talking about? There is no attachment of any bank record or any statement of bank record. And then financial forensics. This is something that is a matter of evidence, not as a ultimate statement of facts. So therefore, Madam Chair, that is why they are requesting. If you go to page 59, you look at this. This is not a recital of facts. What does it say? It's 59. 247 paragraph. To determine the existence and extent of unexplained wealth and SALN violations, I respectfully request, Attorney Cabrera, respectfully request that the Honorable House of Representatives, through the appropriate committee, take the following actions. Issue subpoena. We are not yet there. The only problem with this is a clear request for a fishing expedition against the Vice President. So very clear. In Article 4, there is nothing that recites facts that will lead us to say that there is a sufficiency of substance. And therefore, very clear, what do they ask here? To order preservation of vault inventories. Can you imagine that in this particular proceeding already asking for us to fish? And then we also to authorize coordination with COA, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Anti-Money Council. But they have to first recite the statement, ultimate facts constituting. There is none, Madam Chair. So therefore, clearly, this particular, by a very in the four corners, under positive law, where you can only look at the four corners, like in this case on finding substance, we have to look at the statements in the four corners of the document. And there's nothing there about all of these allegations. So therefore, Madam Chair, Article 4 as Article 5 as Article 4 false. There is no sufficiency in substance. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Po and then the Honorable Suntay.
Madam Chair, of course, with due respect
Madam Chair,
to the previous
may I be
speaker.
allowed to answer after Congressman
Yes,
Suntay?
you will be called after the Honorable Suntay.
Madam Chair, with due
may
respect
proceed.
to my colleague and someone I believe is very knowledgeable when it comes to the law and the Constitution, I'd like to cite that Article 11, Section 17 of the Constitution is clear that public officers are required to file a true and complete statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. And this is not a minor administrative requirement. It is a constitutional duty grounded in public accountability. So at this stage, our task, Madam Chair, is quite limited. We're not determining guilt, and we are not conducting a forensic audit. We're deciding whether the allegations are ultimately true. So we are determining sufficiency and substance. And what I have noticed and what I have observed here in this complaint is that, as our honorable colleague has mentioned, there seems to be no SALN copies, no bank records, and no forensic financial reports attached to this complaint. However, I wouldn't say it's a fishing expedition. So If I may ask some points of clarification to our sponsor, our colleague, Rep. Abante. I'd like to ask...
The endorsers' attention are invited regarding questions to be raised by the Honorable Po.
To further give, I guess, light to this issue, may I ask what specific transactions, properties, accounts, asset increases are being cited indicative of unexplained wealth? Or maybe are there particular salin years where material omissions were alleged?
May we hear from our endorsers?
Well, to add, Madam Chair, the complaint narrates that the forensic records of the VP reveal glaring discrepancies as to the inflows and the transfers of funds in her banks as compared to her declared income in her SALN po. These discrepancies do not account by any lawful income or declaration of gifts, thereby giving the rise for reasonable inference or originated from illicit resources, Madam Chair.
You are referring to the income of the Vice President vis-a-vis what appears in her account. Honorable Ortega, may we hear your confirmation?
Yes.
Madam Chair, which account? Which bank records? Because we are here, ultimate facts. Which bank account, which bank record are we talking about here, if it's stated here? Because I have read this thoroughly 3 times already, and I did not see any.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, maybe us first, our endorser. Because we have to have ultimate facts. When you say bank records, then you have a duly authenticated bank statement given by the bank.
With
that this is-
with all due respect to the Honorable Rodriguez.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us all be reminded of the bank secrecy law. While the bank account is significant, I think we are not in the position to expect the complainants to provide specific details of these accounts in view of the bank secrecy law. And we all understand that impeachment proceeding is the only avenue by which the complainants may be able to look into this and perhaps avail of the documents necessary to support this specific ground. That is for the record. The honorable endorsers are recognized to respond to the Honorable Rodriguez.
Therefore, the need for forensic financial review, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Let's go back to the Justice member who raised this question. The Honorable Po is again recognized.
So continuing on that point and manifestation, since there are no documents or bank records that could be cited, was there maybe any sworn testimony, public disclosures, audit findings, financial statements, or comparative SALN data over the years that may have been used as the basis for this ground?
The Honorable Po is asking about the specific documents or evidence in support of the fifth ground of the fourth impeachment complaint. That is in view of the bank secrecy law. What therefore are the evidence so far attached or considered in support of the fifth ground of the fourth impeachment complaint?
Madam Chair, it would not be automatic for us to be able to tell those banks no because of the bank secrecy law. That's the reason why itong pinag-uusapan natin, yung impeachment complaint na ito, lalabas po ito sa trial. We are not yet in the trial. We are just talking about the sufficiency of substance dito. Meron bang sufficiency of substance na pinag-uusapan natin? Meron. But in everything in this, I would like to tell our colleagues here, no, na this will all come out in the trial, in the impeachment court. You see? Yun po ang nais kong sabihin sa lahat.
The Honorable Rodriguez.
In answer to my good chairman, the Committee on Human Rights, there has to be a recital of facts. And in a recital of facts, there must be a reference to testimonies about bank accounts, if we cannot get the bank accounts. In other words, there has to be a nexus of the statement about irregularity in SALN and bank records by having itself the bank records, the SALNs. And so therefore, it is totally devoid of any particular recital of facts, because that is what we need. We cannot go further if there's no recital of facts constituting the offense charge. Because in fact, the statement of Honorable Brian Poe that there is a requirement in the Constitution of SALN, whatever it is not in the 6. To construe the constitutional provisions, you are very much limited to the enumeration. Use them generis. If it's not in the it's not in the enumeration, it cannot be a ground. So again, culpable violation of the Constitution. Second, treason. Third, bribery. Fourth, graft and corruption. Other high crimes, betrayal of public trust. No statement about having an inaccurate or untruthful SALNs as a ground for impeachment. So that is what we have. We have to therefore have that. So just to be able to respond to the statement that there is a violation of the Constitution that is culpable. It is not, Madam Chair. In fact, those in the SALN can even be able to reform and refile a corrected one. Madam Chair.
Madam
The
Chair.
Honorable Defensor,
Madam Chair.
and then the Honorable Abante.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, the most democratic way to settle this, whether there is a recital of facts or not, is to follow the rulings of the Supreme Court that in impeachment proceedings, each member is allowed to decide for himself how to appreciate the recital of facts or the evidence. And the best way to do that is by voting later on. So let's proceed and let's not stall anymore. Thank you.
We invite the
Chair.
attention of the members to the manifestation of the Honorable Defensor. There is no quantum of evidence required in determining the sufficiency in substance. And in the case of Merceditas Gutierrez, it has been upheld by the Supreme Court that the decision rests to the exclusive judgment of the individual
Yes.
members of the Justice Committee.
Madam Chair.
I think that rests our discussion
Madam Chair.
on
let me just-
this specific
Madam Chair,
ground.
Let me just answer.
The Honorable Abante.
As an endorser, no? Let me just answer the statement of Congressman Rufus. Of course, not being a lawyer, but of course, a very good student of law, no? Legal doctrine, as explained in the case of Gutierrez, nabanggit na kanina, no? Versus HOR, Committee on Justice. An impeachment complaint is sufficient in substance when it recites facts that, assuming their truth, constitute an impeachable offense and are determinative of the committee's jurisdiction. Yun po yung binanggit kanina ni Congressman Lawrence. It is not yet a full-blown trial on the merits. Because sufficiency in substance, as has been said, requires a recital of facts that, assuming the truth, sapagkat lahat po ito allegations pa lang eh, assuming their truth constitute an impeachable offense and establish the committee's jurisdiction. Therefore, an impeachment complaint that is conclusory, fact-bare, or effectively unsupported despite verification is vulnerable to being found insufficient. Yun po ang gusto kong sabihin, no? Now, pinag-usapan yung recital of ultimate facts dito. The fourth complaint that we are endorsing is sufficient in substance because it does not rely on mere constitutional labels or generic accusations as accused by Congressman Rufus. Hindi lang ito basta nagsabi ng betrayal of public trust or culpable violation nang walang detalye sapagkat nakalagay na po lahat eh, di ba? Instead, it pleads a concrete recital of facts constituting the offense charge and determinative of the committee's jurisdiction. Sa madaling salita, may malinaw na salaysay na mga pangyayari, may petsa, may halaga, may dokumento, at may testigo. Hindi ito puro haka-haka o opinion lamang. So in particular, the complaint alleges a public admission on 23 November 2024 regarding contracting an assassin, for example, together with the Alice non-retraction and reiteration of that statement. It situates these allegations within their factual context, security implications, legal theory, expressly invoking culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, and other high crimes which are constitutional ground for impeachment under the 1987 Constitution. Ibig sabihin, hindi lamang sinabi na may kasalanan. Ipaniliwanag kung ano ang sinabi, kailan sinabi, paano ito nakaapekto sa seguridad ng bansa at bakit ito pumapasok sa mga grounds of impeachment. The complaint likewise alleges, allegations pa rin, ano po, specific confidential funds transactions and supporting particulars, including, for example, pinag-usapan na kahapon to, 125 million encashed on December 20, 2022. Alleged liquidation within 11 days. Alleged COA disallowance of 73,287,000. Alleged irregularities such as duplicate pays, PSA certifications of non-existent records, and fabricated receipts. And it also cites an identified affiant, Ramil Madriaga, and references relevant documentary records. Mahalaga ito dahil may eksaktong halaga eksaktong petsa at tinukoy ng mga dokumento at affidavit. Hindi ito simpleng akusasyon lamang. May mga kalakip na ebidensya at pangalan ng testigo. These particulars matter dahil sinabi ng Korte Suprema na, I quote, mere allegation is not evidence. And that verification presupposes reliance on documents and other pertinent records supporting the allegation. Sa madaling salita, para po maunawaan din ng mga ordinaryong kababayan natin na sumusubaybay sa atin ngayon, hindi pwedeng puro salita lamang. Kailangan may batayan. At dito may tinutukoy ng mga dokumento at opisyal na record na lalabas po yan. Hindi lang po siguro natin pwedeng sabihin 24 hours, lalabas ka dito. Meron po tayong sinusunod na batas tungkol dito. So finally, the fourth complaint alleges discrete acts of obstruction of oversight, including, nabanggit na po kahapon to, refusal to answer questions in House hearings, Alice instruction to COA not to comply with a subpoena, entry into House premises during detention days. Maraya po mga bagay, mga colleagues, Madam Chair. Yun lang po ang gusto kong sabihin dito.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable po, then the Honorable Chua, the Honorable Suntay, and the Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the reason why I asked earlier about the sworn statements, etc., is because I believe what the endorser was saying about the Madriaga complaint served as the trigger for this ground, no? And that basically I'm asking these questions to show that if we are allowed to proceed to merit, we immediately would be able to determine whether or not this ground really does stand. Because as mentioned earlier, there are certain documents which would be critical to this ground, which if they were disclosed, would immediately determine the innocence or the guilt of the parties involved. Which is why it makes a strong argument as to why we should move to merit already.
The
Madam Chair,
Honorable po
Madam Chair.
is saying to proceed
Madam Chair, may I
with
answer
our
that for a
impeachment
while?
proceeding to be able
Madam
for
Chair.
us to know
Madam Chair, just a
the
short
veracity of the
answer, no?
allegation on this particular ground. Honorable
Just-
Abante, kindly wait until
just a short
the Honorable
one,
Chu is
Mr.
finished.
Madam Chair.
Madam
If we
Chair,
are on
let
time
Honorable
me...
right now,
Abante.
can we call the witnesses?
I am recognized.
Can we ask the
That
committee
that
to call
will
the witnesses?
happen.
Because we can call them.
That will happen after the determination of sufficiency in substance.
Madam Chair,
The Honorable Chu is recognized.
thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, considering that the rules of court is suppletory to the rules of impeachment, then probably the remedy is, if there is vague allegation, the remedy is for the respondent to file a bill of particulars. Or, probably, Madam Chair, is for her to put it as an affirmative defense in her answer. And then later on, it can be answered in a reply by the complainant. That is the remedy, but not to dismiss this ground or this case. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Suntay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, as correctly pointed out, under Article 5, the allegation states, respondents engage in conduct indicative of unexplained wealth and material non-disclosure of her salin. Pero ang malaking problema, pag tinignan natin, hindi naka-attach what salin we are talking about. Kung walang salin na naka-attach, walang baseline para makita natin what was allegedly omitted. Ano yung inconsistent? Then I was looking, going back to the complaint, there is no recital eh. So paano natin malalaman which inconsistencies are we talking about? There is 811 pages dito sa complaint. Karamihan ng attachment, acknowledgement receipt, PSA certification, DepEd certification, isang audit memorandum at saka notice of disallowance. Pero both the salary and the bank account being stated, wala naman. Merong allegation of unexplained wealth, pero hindi rin sinabi dito anong basis nung unexplained wealth. Which property are we talking about? What acquisition are we referring to? Without all those things, then the narration of facts is incomplete. There is no nexus, Madam Chair. Thank you very much.
Our parliamentary status is we are determining the sufficiency in substance in line with the fifth ground of the fourth impeachment complaint that corresponds to unexplained wealth and the salin of the respondent. The Honorable De Lima is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a brief point. Ultimate facts do not pertain to evidentiary facts. So salins, bank accounts, bank transactions are evidentiary facts. Now, just to address the belief of some that there is there is absolutely no averment of fact in relation to Article 5. May nakita po akong isa. I was still trying to look for more because this is a lengthy reading. Paragraph 76. And paragraph 76 is found under the statement of facts, and antecedent facts. And that is before the discussion on the articles, the main discussion of the articles. So we cannot segregate what are discussed or laid down in that portion of statement of antecedent facts with the discussion now. So paragraph 76, as I said, this can fall under a narration or a statement of an ultimate fact. What does it say? Public records and investigative leads indicate the existence of bank accounts, property transactions, and other financial movements that are disproportionate to respondent Sara Duterte's lawful income and not fully reflected in her statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth. Isn't this an essential, material, ultimate fact that can be supported, substantiated during the evidentiary stage of these proceedings. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Nazal and then the Honorable Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Pag binasa po nyo itong mga nakalagay sa Article 5 regarding unexplained wealth, SALN violations, bank records, and financial forensics, nakalagay lahat sila based on assumptions in preliminary documentary leads, hindi po solid proof. It keeps saying that a forensic review will uncover unexplained assets, but as of now, wala naman napakita yung complaint. Wala man lang attachments na kahit ano to prove itong sinasabi na unexplained wealth. First, the complaint talks about supposed discrepancies in the SALNs, but differences in reporting do not automatically mean someone was dishonest. Hindi po ako abogado, but I'm an economist. Bago po ako naging congressman, alam naman po natin na property values change. Assets can be bought or sold at different times. To immediately label this as pattern of concealment without clear proof of intent is unfair and speculative at best, Madam Chair. Second, kailangan daw po ng forensic financial review to reconcile declared income and assets sa SALN. Identify unexplained inflows or transfers, and trace the disposition of public funds alleged to have been diverted. Hindi ba dapat po trabaho ito ng complainant na mapakita ng ebidensya sa reklamo niya para maging sufficient in substance? Third, the complaint points to large cash disbursements from confidential funds and say these correlate with certain financial movements. But yung mismong complaint admits in paragraph 237 that correlation is not conclusive. Suspicion based only on timing does not prove personal gain. So, mag-i-impeach po tayo ng Vice President na binoto ng 32 million na tao na Pilipino dahil lang sa suspetsa. Third, the mention of intermediaries, third-party accounts, corporations, or relatives is likewise made to sound suspicious. But many lawful transactions are done through representatives or business entities. These arrangements are common and legal. Dapat man lang may katibayan o pruweba na ginagamit ang mga ito para sa mga illegal na gawain. Wala naman pinakita na kahit anong dokumento sa complaint. Fourth, alam natin, Madam Chair, na ang bank secrecy is not absolute, pero hindi natin ito dapat ma-set aside based on unverified claims. Investigation should be based on real and credible evidence, not on fishing expeditions in the hope of finding something. Most importantly, ang impeachment ay isang seryosong constitutional process. Kaya dapat, it should not be based on guesses or on what someone thinks might be discovered later. The burden is on the accusers to prove actual unexplained wealth. The Vice President should not be expected to disprove mere suspicions. At the end of the day, Madam Chair, Article 5 is asking people to assume guilt based on what might be found later, not on what has clearly been proven now. Allegations and suspicions are not the same as evidence. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Next is the Honorable Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. With due respect to our new Deputy Minority Leader, she tried to explain Article 5, which has zero recital of facts. When I explain wealth, SALN violation, back records, and financial forensics by going to the statement of facts. And that's just right, that we can cite that. However, what does paragraph 76 state? Are these recital of facts? I will read, Madam Chair, and it is for all of us to determine whether this is a recital of ultimate facts constituting the offense. It says here, public records and investigative leads indicate existence of bank accounts. What are these public records? What are these investigative leads? You know, Madam Chair, you can see here, the fourth impeachment complaint is really a big volume of annexes. There is no annex on this particular, what are the public records? Nothing. See? What are the investigative leads? There has to be statements. You cannot just say, for example, that there is draft and corruption without also stating the ultimate facts constituting that. You cannot just say, malversation. You cannot do that. There has to be a statement of facts. Now, you say public records. What are these public records? To give us an indication that there's a crime has been committed, that a impeachable offense has been committed. Nothing. And then it says other financial movements. Very vague. Other financial movements. There are a lot of financial movements. In the stock exchange, in the trade and commerce of people. So, what are these financial movements? And they say that are disproportionate to respondents' senators' lawful income and not fully reflected in their salary. Which salary? 2022? 2023? 24? 25? No statement here. It's a general blanket statement. These are not recital of facts. So therefore, paragraph 76 does not support Article 5. So once again, there is absolutely that's only insufficient, nothing, no substance in Article 4. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Honorable Ridon.
we'd like to, before indulging...
Before we proceed, may I just acknowledge first the Honorable Paulo Henry M. Marcoleta from Sagip Party List. You may proceed.
Before indulging our good colleague, Congressman Rodriguez, on the public records that is actually looking for, I'd like to read for the record the articles of impeachment of the Corona impeachment process, in which former Chief Justice Renato Corona was convicted, and SALN was one of its bases, no? It was a very general narration of the facts, and I think this should be the same standard, because this has undertaken the entirety of the process of impeachment, from the express route towards final conviction at the level of the Senate. So I will read it. Madam Chair, (2.4) Respondent is likewise suspected and accused of having ill-gotten wealth, acquiring assets of high values, and keeping bank accounts with huge deposits. It has been reported that respondent has, among others, a 300 square meter apartment in a posh Mega World property development at the Fort in Taguig. Has he reported this as he is constitutionally required under Article 11, Section 17 of the Constitution in his Statement of Assets and Liabilities and Net Worth, SALN? Is this acquisition sustained and duly supported by his income as a public official since his assumption as associate and subsequently Chief Justice? Has he complied with this duty of public disclosure? We are stating it for the record, Madam Chair, because this is the precise wording of the Corona impeachment articles of impeachment, which had proceeded to the Senate and had resulted in a conviction, Madam Chair. So I think it is very clear that this is the process that we have to undertake, and what the endorsers would want to undertake during the process of full proceedings can be undertaken. It does not require what our colleague is actually asking today. It would be good had the annexes been there, but is actually not in fact required for full impeachment proceedings to proceed. But I think the crux of the matter is, what is the definition of unexplained wealth, Madam Chair? Because I think this is something that we would want to be able to talk about as well. Yung pong unexplained wealth, mga kaibigan, meron pong very specific definition yan sa atin pong mga batas. A public officer and employee acquires property during their incumbency. So if we are talking about the Vice President, from 2007, from her first year in public office to date. And second element is the amount of property is manifestly out of proportion to their official salary and other confirmed local income. And at this point, I will indulge our colleague about the public records on which this committee can actually take judicial notice of. So I will read to the record, Madam Chair, the totality of the net worth of the Vice President from 2008. 2008, filed December 31, 2008, net worth 18,493,617. SALN 2009, net worth 18,281,000.
May we be clarified, Honorable Ridon, of the reference from which you are reading?
Well, we have the references of the SALNs themselves.
That is the
Madam
SALN
Chair.
of the Vice President?
And some of the public, available public information relating to the
May
SALNs.
we know specifically which document
Well,
is
I will
that?
present for the record the most recent SALN that had been released by the Ombudsman, Madam Chair. I think it is something that can be flashed on the screen. But I think what should be noted is the original SALN net worth, which was 18 million, Madam Chair. 18 million.
With the indulgence of the justice members, we will be flashing on screen the document which is the reference of the Honorable Ridon.
Yeah, but to have a starting point, Madam Chair, the original SALN 2008 is 18,493,617. It was filed December 31, 2008. So we will be flashing the SALNs for 2023 and 2024. May we request, Madam Chair, that the Secretary be directed to flash?
For the record, the SALN from which the Honorable Ridon is first referring to is the 2008 SALN, which provides for an 80 million net worth. And with the indulgence of the members, we will be flashing the 2023 and 2024 SALN.
Madam Chair, this is the 2023 SALN. We can proceed to see the totality, the net worth, Madam Chair. 2023, can we go down further, please? A little bit down. Ayan, net worth po. Net worth for 2023. 77,508,841 pesos. This is for 2023, Madam Chair. Can we flash 2024, Secretariat, please?
Kindly flash the 2024.
Can we
Scroll
go-
down first.
Okay, yeah,
please.
that's correct. For 2024, released by the Office of the Ombudsman, net worth of the Vice President is, can you put it a bit further, please? Up.
Down, please.
88,512,370.22. So we are submitting it for the record because these are public records which our colleague had actually asked for. And if we will base it from the original SALN at 2008 to the 2024 SALN, Madam Chair, it is an increase of more than, I think, 1,200%. So we leave it to the Justice Committee as to whether or not we would consider it.
There was an increase of 10
As a-
million pesos, Madam Chair.
Sorry?
From 77 million to...
No, the original
88.
SALN at 2008.
How
which
much
was
is the 2008 SALN?
18 million.
1.8. Is it 1.8 or 80?
1.8.
It's 1.8 million. Do you have a copy of the SALN also of 2008?
We will locate it, Madam Chair.
So, we're stating for the record, it was being shared to us by the Honorable Ridon that per 2008 SALN, the net worth is 18 million. And now we are shown by 2023 and 2024 SALN, which shows net worth of 77 million and 88 million respectively. Do you have any additional manifestation?
That is correct, Madam Chair. So we leave it to the House Committee on Justice to make a determination on whether the comparison between the original SALN at 2008 and the current SALN at 2024 constitutes unexplained wealth, which is essentially part of the impeachable offenses that we would want to proceed with at this point, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Rodriguez.
2 points. First point is that the impeachment proceedings in the Committee on Justice against Chief Justice Corona, this representation has attended since 2007, 4 impeachment complaints, which I have been a member of this committee since 2007. The first complaint was against the President, GMA. 2007, I was new, dismissed. Then we have Gutierrez, Residita, she resigned. And then we have Corona. On record, Madam Chair, precisely, this representation voted no to the Corona complaint. Because to me, there was no sufficiency of substance. And in the resolution of the House of Representatives, I voted no. In the Senate, it proceeded because the majority, of course, with the President at the time pushing for that, he was therefore impeached. In other words, the proceedings there are completely different now. I don't know that during the time they allowed it, but here our chairman is making sure that we follow the requirement of substance, that there should be sufficiency in form and substance, and there should be recital of facts. Well, in that particular case, I lost. I was against it. It proceeded. But I voted no. I did not want Chief Justice Corona to be impeached. Later on, it has come out that there have been lobbies with senators to impeach Corona, you see. So, therefore, that is what happened before. But now, Madam Chair, we are with you. You are presiding this very well. And we want to have the real recital of facts constituting the offense charge. And certainly, based on this, and based on the complaint, and based on the annexes, wala. Now, a new matter is injected by our friend, Congressman Ridon, stating about SALNs of 2023, 2024. Is that particular SALN, has that been authenticated by the Ombudsman? Do you have a copy of authentication of the Ombudsman?
Honorable Ridon.
I don't think that is required. It is public record, Madam Chair.
You know, there's no automatic authentication, public record, all the records. There has to be authentication. When you go to a proceeding like this, it's the Justice Committee of this country, of the House of Representatives.
Madam Chair.
You cannot just state that it's a public record. Now, where is it? Where is it? Is it found in the complaint? Because we are limited, Madam Chair, to the complaint and to the annexes. Here we are. Here we are. We're limited with this. To inject something based on the statement, and there is no authentication that we have, there is no such thing as automatic authentication. In any proceeding, you have to authenticate.
No,
so
Madam-
therefore, there can be,
Madam Chair.
unless there is an authentication and the Ombudsman has already certified that, we cannot take cognizance of that particular injection of this new matter in the hearing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Just to be clear,
Honorable De Lima first, and then Honorable
excuse me,
Po, and then
Madam Chair.
Honorable Ridon.
Authentication can be done at the evidentiary stage. No need for authentication at this point. The committee can subpoena, can request copies of those SALNs from the official custodian, the Office of the Ombudsman. So authentication at this point is not needed. Thank you.
I disagree, Madam Chair. May I be just one sentence? Our
Proceed.
verification. I will read now the verification. Verification of this. What does it say? In the verification of the
Personal
complaint.
knowledge or authentic records.
Yes, precisely. We have to have ultimate statement of facts, personal knowledge of the complainant, Attorney Cabrera, and then, of course, here we go. I will read now the verification of Attorney Cabrera. Aha.
I think it
The
was just one
allegations-
sentence, Madam Chair.
Let
Just
us
one
wait.
sentence.
Let us
So
wait
this is my last
until
sentence.
he finishes with his
No, that's three
manifestation.
sentences already, Madam Chair.
My 3 sentences is considered as 1 sentence.
All right, Madam Chair.
The allegations, number 3, the allegations in the complaint are true and correct based on my personal knowledge or based on authentic documents. See? That's very clear. Nobody can debate with that. And if Congressman Ridon says this is authentic, that is his word. We have to get authentic documents signed and duly certified by the Office of the Ombudsman.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable
That is
Rodriguez,
5 sentences, but considered
That
as
was
one.
one paragraph already. The Honorable Ridon.
Madam Chair, it's a very basic question. That is an irrelevant response. You know why? Because firstly, I am not the complainant. I am not bound by the verification. Hindi ba? Why are you talking about authentic records? I am speaking as a House member and participating in the House Committee on Justice. The point is not on point, Madam Chair. And my question is basically, are we being challenged that what is being presented is actually not the true representation of the SALN of the Vice President for 2023 and 2024? Kasi parang ganun ho yung dating. And more importantly, dinabas ho ito. Nakita ho ng bayan, yung 88 million
Madam Chair.
nalaman po ng SALN. So, think ko, that should not be considered,
Chair.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Po, and then the Honorable Suntay, and then the Honorable Dilima.
Madam Chair, so we can move forward already. I just want to clarify for the body whether or not the Honorable Congressman Rufus Rodriguez is asking us to ignore the SALNs that were presented earlier. Is that what we're being asked?
That is precisely to answer. Can I answer, Madam Chair?
You're recognized,
You cannot
Honorable
inject
Rodriguez.
anything not found in the complaint, in the annex. Because then the requirement that Attorney Cabrera, is of personal knowledge and or authentic, that is very clear in all verifications. Authentic.
We go back to Honorable Po.
Well, then, to that point, I believe that we should move into merit so that that can be admitted as part of the evidence, no, in,
Madam Chair,
in this situation.
well, he's right to ignore it, but Madam Chair, just one last
Yes,
one.
you may
point.
proceed.
Well, he's right to ignore it, but firstly, he was challenging the availability of public records. So we were submitting the public records actually available. And secondly, I am not asking that it be made part of the complaint. This is being submitted for the consideration of the body that it is untrue that public records relating to SALN, unexplained wealth, do not currently exist. It exists. And we had been submitting it for the record, Madam Chair, irrespective of whatever documents that had not been submitted by this complaint. Madam Chair, I submit.
The Honorable Suntay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, Congressman Ridon stated two facts. First, tama yung sinabi niya, he's not a complainant, but he's trying to introduce new documents which he wants us to consider. Second, the document he is trying to introduce is not to the knowledge of the complainant. So, we cannot consider it here because it's not part of the complaint.
The Honorable Dilima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing prevents this committee from directing the production of SALNs as essential documents in determining the facts of these proceedings. Impeachment is sui generis. We have all the plenary power or authority to do that, just to arrive at the correct conclusion, just to substantiate and establish the necessary and essential facts. That is my position, Madam Chair.
Just like any other manifestation of the Justice members, the document presented by the Honorable Redon forms part of his manifestation. And
Madam Chair.
therefore, all of your manifestations, including the documents which were shared, will become basis of the judgment of the Justice members in determining the sufficiency in substance.